Hey Girl Scouts, I'm Sunny from the Girl Scouts of Northern Indiana-Michiana in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and today I'm going to be walking girls through the Brownie Space Science Adventurer Badge. So just a few reminders before I get started with all the fun activities. Girls won't actually earn the badge simply from watching this video. So after the video ends, if you want to gather up all of the supplies and fulfill all of these steps on your own at home, that would be fantastic. So in order to earn the Brownie Space Science Adventurer Badge, there are 5 steps that you need to complete. And those steps are: meet the neighbors, see more than before, investigate the moon, be a stargazer, and celebrate and share. After this video ends, we'll be uploading the materials list for all of the things that you'll need to accomplish these steps. Also, please check out our website, gsnim.org, and check out our new virtual patch program. So all you have to do is watch this or 5 other of our virtual badge videos that we have on our website and our Facebook page, and then you can earn a virtual patch. So like I said, check that out on gsnim.org. Now we're going to get started with the Space Science Adventurer Badge with step number 1, which is meet the neighbors. Alright girls, so step 1 of the Brownie Space Adventurer Badge is meet the neighbors. I am surprisingly joined by Mowgli the cat for this step. You might have met him in the Pets badge. If he purrs too loudly, I apologize. He's right next to the microphone too. So anyway, he's sitting with me for the time being. Alright, so like I said, step 1 is meet the neighbors. So our solar system is made up of a star, which is our sun, and all of the objects that travel or orbit around our sun. Our sun lights the earth and heats the earth, and without it, we wouldn't be able to have life on Earth. Our solar system also has 8 planets, which include Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Then at least 5 dwarf planets, which include Pluto, more than 180 moons that orbit or travel around the planets and dwarf planets, asteroids, comets, rocks, ice, and dust. So, like I said, for this one, we're going to meet all of our neighbors. And one of the options to fulfill step 1 is to create a picture of our planets. So I'm going to show you my finished picture, and then I'll show you how I did it. So this is my finished picture of our planets. And in order to make this, the first thing I did was I pulled a resource off of the volunteer toolkit, which are these really handy cutouts of all the planets. And so basically, the first thing I did was I printed these out, and then I got online because I wanted to make sure I got the colors right. And I went through and I colored all the different planets, and then I cut them all out. Just make sure you keep track of which planet is which. Then I took 2 pieces of black construction paper and I taped them together in the back. And I put on both hot dog ways so that they were longer this way. So tape them together in the back. Then you take all of your glued or your cut out and colored pictures of the planets, and then you glue them down in order. So one way that you can remember the order of the planets is with a mnemonic device. And that's a funny word, but that means a fun way to help you remember something. So that could be a saying or a song. So you can have a mnemonic device to help you remember the order of the planets. One example of a mnemonic device that I always think of is when I was in 3rd grade, I learned the song 50 Nifty United States, which is a song that helps you remember all 50 states in alphabetical order. And even to this day, I can still sing that song, and I can still remember all 50 states in alphabetical order, which is kind of cool. So we're going to learn a mnemonic device for the order of the planets. So like I said, the order of our planets is Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So one way that you can remember them is you take the first letter of each planet and then you make a saying. So one saying is, my very excellent map just showed us north. My very excellent map just showed us north. We just took the first letter of each planet and made a little saying out of it. All right, girls, so once you have glued down all of your planets in order, like I said, I don't know if I said this, I labeled mine just to help remind me of the order, and then display your poster proudly at home. So stick it on the fridge, or maybe hang it up in your bedroom so that when you're going to bed at night, it's like you're sleeping amongst the solar system. So now we are going to go ahead and move on to step 2 of the Brownie Space Adventurer badge, which is see more than before. So now we're outside for step 2 of the Brownie Space Adventurer badge, which is see more than before. So there are places called observatories that have telescopes that people can use so that they can see the stars and the moon and even some other planets. Which is really cool. So maybe after we're able to go out and about again, you can ask your grown-up to take you to an observatory to use a telescope. Or another option is you can find an event near you where amateur astronomers will bring out their telescopes that you can see through. And another option that you can do in the meantime is you can ask your grown-up if they have a set of binoculars that look like this. And then you can make some observations from home. So you can observe the daytime sky, which is what I'm doing right now, or you can observe the nighttime sky. So during the daytime, see how many clouds you can find. If you can observe any aircraft, so any airplanes or helicopters flying by. See if you can see any birds, or if you can see the moon, even during the daytime. And then at the nighttime sky, see again if you can see any birds or bats up in the sky, see how many stars you can find, and observe the moon. So that is step number 2 of the Brownie Space Adventurer badge, see more than before. Step number 3 of the Brownie Space Science Adventurer badge is investigate the moon. So how many of you have noticed that the moon seems like it changes shape? So sometimes when you look at it, it's a big, round, bright moon up in the sky. And other times, it's just a little sliver that looks kind of like your fingernail. How many of you have noticed that before? So while the moon looks like it's changing shapes in the sky, it actually isn't. It's just the amount of light that we're seeing is changing. So as the moon orbits around the Earth, and as the Earth orbits around the sun, the amount of light that the sun is shining on the moon changes. So it makes it look like the moon is changing shapes, when actually it's just the amount of light shining on the sun, or shining on the moon, that changes. So we see different parts of the moon, or different amounts of the moon. So there are 8 phases of the moon, which are the different types of looks or shapes that the moon takes. And I actually made a little poster about this so I could talk to you about the different phases of the moon. So the first phase of the moon is the new moon. So this is where you don't really see any of the moon. It's still up in the sky, but the only part that we're seeing is the part that the sun is not shining on the part of the moon that we see. So you can't really see the moon up in the sky. The second phase is the waxing crescent. So this is where we start to see a little crescent, a little sliver of the moon. When you hear the word waxing, it means the moon's slowly getting bigger. We're slowly starting to see more and more of the moon in the night sky. The third phase of the moon is first quarter. So this is where you can see about half of the moon up in the sky. And the reason it's quarter is because we only ever really see half of the moon. We only see the side that's facing us. So when we say first quarter, it's only a quarter of the full moon that we're seeing. The next phase is called the waxing gibbous, and this is where it's almost full. It's right in between full and quarter moon. It's almost completely illuminated. The fifth phase is full moon, and this is This is when we can look outside and see a great big full moon up in the sky. On April 7th, we had a super moon, and it was actually the biggest moon that we're going to see, and the largest and brightest full moon that we're going to see in 2020. So I hope you got a chance to go explore that because it was really neat. All right. So after we have the full moon, where the moon is the fullest that it is in this cycle, then we come to the waning gibbous. And this is, again, very similar to the waxing gibbous, but now we're starting to see it starting to go dark again. All right? And then the next phase after the waning gibbous, so when you hear the word waning, it means we're seeing less and less of the moon. Waxing means we're seeing more of the moon, and waning means we're seeing less. So after the waning gibbous, we have the third quarter, where we only see about half of the moon that we would see when we see a full moon. And then the last one on this poster is our waning crescent, again, where we see that little sliver, that little fingernail sliver of the moon. And then we come right back to the beginning, and then it's the new moon again. So these are the 8 moon phases. So, like I said, one of the options to fulfill step number 3 of investigate the moon is to start making some moon observations. So I recommended to make a moon observation journal. So this is mine. And what you need to do is you need to make observations of the moon for 4 weeks, which seems like a long time, but this is so you can actually get a chance to explore all 8 of the moon phases. So in my moon observation journal, how I made this was I just took some printer paper, which is right here. I took some plain sheets of printer paper, just like this. I got a stack of about 5 sheets, I think was what I used. 5 sheets of printer paper. I folded them hamburger ways. I said the wrong thing earlier. This is hot dog, this is hamburger. I folded them hamburger ways. Folded them just like that. And then I took a plain piece of construction paper and I folded that in half. And then I put it around my paper, stapled it, and then I've got a nice handy little book. So I'll show you my first page of my first set of observations. So in my book, I labeled the first page. I don't want you to see what my actual observation was until you see my prediction. What you should do for your moon observation journal is every time you want to make an observation, before you go outside, I want you to make a prediction. So I want you to say draw a picture of what you think the moon's going to look like. And if you can remember the different moon phases, write down what phase you think the moon is going to be in. So my first observation was on Sunday night, so it was April 26th, 2020. And I put the time, so it was 10:30 p.m., which is pretty late for me because usually I'm in bed by then. And before I made my observation, I made a prediction. So like I said, April 7th was the full moon, and that was that super moon that I talked about. Now, I wasn't sure if it was going to be, I knew it wouldn't be a full moon because we had that, and that was 2 weeks ago. So then I thought, well, could it be our waning gibbous or third quarter? And then I thought, could it be a new moon maybe? Maybe we've already gotten to a new moon. So I drew where I could see no moon in the sky. It's just a dark blue sky. That was my prediction. And then I actually made my observation. So at 10:30 on Sunday night, I opened my bedroom window and looked outside, and then I drew a picture of what I saw. So this was my observation. So this is a picture of my neighbor that lives across the street. This is their house that's right across the street from my house. And actually, there was a crescent moon in the sky. So in addition to my picture that I drew of what I could see from my bedroom window, I also wrote down some observations. So I wrote down clear sky, so it was very clear out. I could see the stars, I could see the moon. I wrote crescent moon because it was a crescent moon up in our sky. And then I also had observed there was a very bright star up in the sky right next to the moon. And it was really pretty. So I drew a picture of the moon and the star in the sky. And then this morning, when I was getting ready to start this video, I was thinking about it and I was like, I wonder what star that was. So just like a scientist, when you make observations, sometimes then it makes you think of other questions that you have that you want to learn more about. So I saw that star in the sky and wondered, what star is that? So I Googled it. So right before I filmed this part of the video, I Googled large star in the sky right next to the moon on Sunday, April 26th. And you know what I found out? It's actually Venus. So Venus is very close to us right now. And so on the 26th, on Sunday night, the moon was very close to Venus was very close to our moon in the sky, which was really neat that I happened to capture that in my observation. So that was neat. That was very cool. So like I said, I'm gonna do 2 observations a week. You can do 1 a week or 2 a week, whichever you'd prefer and whatever you've got time to do. And so each week, I'm just gonna have 2 observations. So again, you're gonna make sure you put, I started to put a time, or a date, but I don't know what I'm gonna make this one. Maybe I'll make it tonight. So you're gonna put your date and your time. First, you're gonna draw a prediction of what you think or what phase you think the moon's gonna be in, and then you actually do an observation. So either go outside with your grown-up or look outside your bedroom window. See if you can see the moon, and then draw a picture of it and write down any other observations you make. Use the other pages in your book to observe for 4 weeks, making sure that you date and put down the time. Also make a prediction first and then do your observations. So that is step number 3, observe the moon. All right, girls, now we have moved on to step number 4 of the Brownie Space Adventurer badge, which is be a stargazer. So sometimes you'll notice if you go outside to try and stargaze, maybe you don't see any stars. How many of us has this happened to before? It's happened to me for sure. So sometimes that's because it's overcast, so it's cloudy and you don't see any stars in the sky. Or maybe you live in the city and the light pollution from all the city lights makes it hard to see the stars in the sky. So what we're gonna do, and one of the options to fulfill step number 4 of this badge is to make a constellation viewer. So that's what I'm gonna tell you how to do today. And this is my constellation viewer, so I'm gonna tell you how I made it. So the first step to complete your constellation viewer is to find a constellation that you would like to have to look through your constellation viewer and look at. So for mine, I picked the constellation Gemini just because that's my astrological sign. So I picked the constellation Gemini and I just Googled it. So I'll insert a picture of it right here. But then also the volunteer toolkit has other pictures of constellations. So this is one that I pulled off of the volunteer toolkit, and this is Ursa Major, or also AKA the Great Bear. So this is a picture of that constellation. So when you pick your constellation first, and then you need to make the design on a piece of paper. So I used black paper. You can use whatever color paper you have. So I got my black paper, and then you are gonna need a tube for your viewer. So if you have a paper towel tube or a toilet paper tube, either will work just great. And then you're gonna wanna trace a circle around your tube onto your piece of paper, because this is gonna be the end of your tube here. Okay, so you'll just take a pencil and you're gonna trace a circle around it. And so if I hit the light right, you'll see a very light circle around here, okay? And then you need to punch holes in your piece of paper here that are the shape of your constellation. So what I would recommend is get a couple layers of cardboard so that you don't hurt a table or the surface that you're working on. I've got a clipboard here so I can protect that, but I'm still gonna stick this little piece of cardboard underneath to protect my clipboard here. And then you're gonna just need a little thumbtack. And then you're actually gonna do the design of your constellation. If it's easier to draw it first, maybe look at the picture of your constellation and put dots where all the stars are, okay? So maybe draw the dots first and then poke your holes with your thumbtack. Once you've done that, then you're gonna cut out your little circle and then you're gonna tape it to the top of your viewer, okay? And then, once you've done that, you're gonna decorate it however you want to. Maybe you can make it look like the night sky. You can make it your favorite color. I use different colors of purple and blue, like a very pretty night sky, and also purple's my favorite color, so that's why I went with purple. And then you have a pretty handy dandy constellation viewer. Now, since I'm out in my bright sunny living room, we're gonna go into a darker room so we can test it out and see how it works. All right, so welcome to my bathroom. This is the darkest room in my house, and this is the best place to test our constellation viewer. So I am going to turn off the light. To test your constellation viewer, all you need is your constellation viewer, and I'm actually using my cell phone, and I'm gonna turn on the flashlight on my cell phone. I noticed when I turned on my flashlight, if you have a flashlight, that could work too. But I noticed when I turned on my flashlight, it split the light because it's got 3 little LED lights in my flashlight. So it split the light and it made my constellation look a little wonky. The flashlight on the cell phone works actually better. So if you can test this with your grown-up, and you can ask them very nicely if you can borrow their cell phone, then you can test out your constellation viewer in a dark room of your house, or you can do it at nighttime too. So now we're gonna turn off the lights and test this out. All right, girls, so all I'm doing is I'm gonna put the flashlight right up against the bottom here of my constellation viewer, and then we're gonna project it on the wall. Do you girls see my constellation? So do you see how it's shining on the wall right there? So now you can make other constellations, so feel free to look up other designs, punch more holes in a different piece of paper, and then you can exchange them out. So maybe take this one off the end and tape a new one on, and then you can make a little constellation show of all the different constellation pictures that you have. All right, girls, now we're on to the 5th and final step of the Brownie Space Science Adventurer badge, which is Celebrate and Share. So for this step of the badge, you can have a little space science party for yourself and your family members. So share with your family members everything you learned, and maybe even do some of these activities together. Maybe you can make some space-themed snacks. And at nighttime, you can go out and observe the stars and do some stargazing. If it's really nice, and since it's getting a little bit warmer out, maybe you can camp out and sleep under the stars as the ending to your really fun space science party. Thank you, girls, so much for watching today's video. I hope you learned something, and I hope you're excited to now complete all of these steps on your own at home. Please stay tuned for future GSNIM virtual badge opportunities. Again, check out that new virtual patch program that we have that's on our website, gsnim.org. Thanks again for watching. Stay healthy and safe, and I hope to see you girls very soon. Thanks again, and bye.